Let's learn how to make a rainbow tie-dye shirt. Let's take a look at the materials. First of all, we're going to need an all-cotton shirt, rubber bands, dye, which is already in the bottles, urea, or those little pellets, that's something that helps the dye work better, soda ash, that's the powder, gloves, you'll want those for sure when you're working with the soda ash and the dye. Then you'll need a Ziploc bag to enclose the shirt when you're all done, a washable marker, some water, warm water, about a gallon in a bucket, and you'll need some kind of table protector. A plastic tray works great. If you have an old cooling rack that you might use after making cookies or something, that is really helpful too. They do have those at the dollar store. Also useful to have is a funnel. And the colors of the dye that we'll be using are turquoise, lemon yellow, and fuchsia red. Okay, now we're going to mix the urea into the warm water, and this is about maybe 1.5 cups of water should do it. So just pour the urea in. It kind of bounces around. Now we're going to add it to the yellow dye with a funnel. So I'm going to put in about 1/3 of it into this bottle, and then just continue on with your blue and your red. Okay, so we have about 1/2 bottle of dye in each color, and then we're just going to put a glove on and shake them up really well. The reason I said about for the amounts of water is because if you want lighter colors, you can put more water in. Okay, now that we have our dye mixed, let's mix up the soda ash into it's about 1 gallon of warm water. So just pour the whole thing in, and then stir it up, try to get it all dissolved. Starts to look kind of milky. This stuff is kind of caustic, kind of burns, so that's why you should wear gloves. Okay, so we're going to lay the shirt out on a table. Make sure you put away all your dye materials and wash your hands. And this is the rainbow design. So one thing that helps draw a nice arc is if you take a piece of yarn or string and put it on your marker. Now, I wouldn't recommend this marker because I don't know if it's going to wash out. This is just what I had. So then once you have your string on your marker, you don't have to do this, by the way, you can freehand it. So you hold down the string at about the middle of the shirt and then draw your arc. And then to draw the bottom part of the rainbow, you just shorten the string and draw your second curve. I ran out of table, but it's still close enough, so that'll do. So the idea, whenever you have a pattern drawn onto a shirt, you want to try to fold along those 2 lines. Most patterns have you fold accordion back and forth. You can just kind of pinch, and you might find a technique that works for you, and it does not have to be perfect. I have noticed that. You just want to try to continue along this path of these lines. Okay, so now it's time to put on some rubber bands. What you want to do is try to get the rubber band to follow the line. Okay, we're going to leave that alone for a moment while we do this one, and you can see it kind of ungathers as you're working. you can just fix that. Now you don't have to hold both sides, so that's kind of nice. Okay, then we'll put this one on. And you can see it's still pleated, but we will be putting on more bands to separate the colors. So I'll continue on with that. Okay, so I don't know if anyone remembers this, but we used to say a rainbow was Roy G. Biv, which was red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. But for this, I'm just doing 6 colors. So what I want to do now is make 6 lines in these pleats so that I can divide them up. So first I'm going to put one in the middle, and then divide the half into 2 more sections. And that's just going to show me where to put my rubber bands. Okay, now I have my 6 sections ready, and what will we do with the rest of the shirt? Well, I don't want the rest of my shirt white, but if you did, it would be very hard to keep the white part out of the dye. You could probably put a Ziploc bag over it and rubber band it tightly. It still might be kind of hard, but you could try that. You just bunch up the remaining part of the shirt so that you have, the idea is with accordion folding as well as this, is you have as much of the surface of the shirt exposed so that more dye can get on it. So that's what we're going to do, and we're going to wrap rubber bands around there. However you can get it to hold together is fine. Okay, so now this shirt is ready to go in the soda ash water. Just lay your shirt down in the soda ash water mixture and just kind of make sure it's absorbing the water and staying down as much as it can, and just leave it sit there for 10 minutes. Okay, so now we're going to take the shirt out of the soda ash. Make sure you put on your gloves, and then just take it out and squeeze as much water as possible out of the shirt. Okay, now this is where the cooling rack comes in handy. What it does is it keeps the shirt off the surface of the tray or whatever you're working on so that the colors don't bleed out the bottom and mess each other up. I'm going to use my little cheat sheet here and start with the red. And how am I going to make all these colors? Right, I've only got 3. Well, you probably figured it out. I'm going to mix them. So just kind of squeeze these on without getting too much. So that's kind of the trick. So the next one is going to be orange. So I'm going to leave that one for now. And I'm going to skip over the orange and the yellow and the green and put the blue right here. The reason I'm doing this, it's not important that you do it this way. I just want to keep my colors straight. So blue goes on here. And I'm kind of squeezing it down into the shirt when I can, but not too much. Okay, now I'm going to put yellow in the middle. So those are my primary colors. Because orange is made by yellow and red, I'm going to continue the yellow over here. Don't want any yellow over there. Okay, so for orange, I need to put red here. So here I need to add the blue to make the green. Then, since I have the blue in my hand, I'm going to continue it here because I need red and blue to make the violet or purple. Okay, so at this point I'm going to wipe my hands off a little bit and grab a paper towel, and I'm going to kind of squeeze each one as I go along the line here. Now I don't want to get any red on that yellow at all, so I'm going to avoid the yellow for now. Wipe off my gloves, squeeze the green, the blue. Oops, I forgot to put the red on for the purple. Look at that. Let's add that red. Now at this point we want to turn the shirt over and do the same thing on the other side. And you'll be able to see what you need to do because you can see the colors coming through. Okay, I like to add a little bit more yellow because it's the lightest color. I want to make sure that it's not overwhelmed by the other colors. Okay, now I'm going to repeat the kind of squeezing them. So you can see that by carefully applying your dye, you don't have very much waste. I'm just going to wipe that away. And now it's time to do something with the ends. And like I said, I don't want mine to be white, so I'm just going to add a lot of color to it. Okay, so you can see that this part is messier. It tends to run out. That's why the rack is great, so you don't mess up your rainbow part. And I do have to flip it over and do the other side. Now this is something good to notice. If you open up these a little bit and look inside, you can see what you've missed. I decided to add some yellow to get some greens as well. But you can see that if you don't get in there, you're going to have a lot of white left. Okay, so I think that's probably enough dye. You can see it running out all over my tray. So I'm going to kind of squish this color in, trying to avoid the rainbow portion. And then it'll be time to put it in a bag. Some people take their shirt and wrap it with saran wrap before they put it in a bag, and that's a good idea if you want to really try to protect the design part. Okay, I don't have any plastic wrap, so I'm just going to take a plastic bag. So I have a sheet of plastic here, and then place the shirt on the bag and roll it up. This will help keep the ends from coloring the metal. Just take the shirt, put it in the bag, and ideally put the shirt somewhere where it's at least 70 degrees. That will help the dye really absorb and be more color fast. So in the house is fine. Leave it for at least 12 hours. I usually get impatient. It's best to leave it for 24 hours if you can. At the very least, leave it for 4 hours. Now it's time to rinse. Start with the cold water and leave the ties in. When you start to see less dye coming out of the shirt, then you can switch over to warm water to take the ties out. Now is the really fun part, taking out the rubber bands and seeing what you have. Now you can switch to rinsing with warm water. After I've finished with the warm water, I usually like to put some hot water in the sink and add some soap and wash it by hand for a little while before putting it in the washing machine. First time you wash it by itself, and then after that it should be pretty color fast. Here's the shirt right out of the sink. I think I would have liked to have more color and less white, but the fun thing about tie-dye is it's always different. Well, I ended up redoing my shirt. It just had too much white on it for me, and the top and bottom were too light and splotchy. So I just redid the whole process over again, adding more dye.